Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Welcome everybody to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom for Physicians podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And as you know, I talk about 4 different types of freedom: time, financial, location, health freedom. And in that spirit, I'm always looking for innovators, creators, thought leaders, doing cutting edge things, and recording those conversations and sharing that with you in the rest of the world to inspire, motivate you, educate you. So today we have a filmmaker and creative, Khoa, based out of New York City, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a filmmaker, and today's talk is going to be all about Web3 and what it is, how creators, thought leaders can use it, and where he sees the future direction of the field. So I'll let him introduce himself. Khoa, welcome.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Exciting stuff, Web3, huh?
Yeah, very, very exciting. And you have a really interesting story. I know we both, Asian background. Tell us more how you started, and we'll go from there.
So, yes, I'm Vietnamese. I'm a refugee immigrant from Vietnam. I was born in Thailand and came in the States in the 80s with just like most Vietnamese families with nothing. Grew up in the slums of Jersey City, and went to schools where there were, stabbings once a week and shootings once a month. And it was normal, and a lot of racism back then, and et cetera. And so that's my background. And, your chances of success was slim to none growing in that type of environment, right? You have a high chance of getting killed than coming out successful. And so I count my lucky stars every single day, knowing that I have loving parents, good friends that I was associated around, and a good brother that taught me tough love to make sure that I stayed out of trouble. Don't smoke, don't do weed, don't do drugs, right? But I think part of it was also like I was put in a foster home when I was very young, and I was influenced by an American family, well, more like Italian Irish family, and they had their American ways, and I was brought up in an environment that influenced me to be creative, which is I was in the music game for a while, then went into the film game, and then built several different businesses around the media side of things, and came out pretty, I would say I'll consider myself lucky. We're not where we want to be at, but to have what we have right now compared to most people around the world that don't have what we have, I count my lucky stars.
Yeah, interesting. I think actually being able to express your creative freedom is the highest form of self-expression. It doesn't, like people think it's, having $1 million in the bank or whatever. But I think, having your time and being able to dictate it, how you use it is really the ultimate.
100%. I think, the reason why I got into the music game in the beginning was because it's, expression of telling the arts, telling a story, right? And being able to impact people around the world with just music, with a 3-minute song, like what Michael Jackson did or Whitney Houston did, and Stevie Wonder, they impacted the world through that power of music. And then when I got into the film world, and I love movies, I don't watch enough of it, but the movies that did impact me, I still think about it every single day. When things go wrong, I think about the movies, and I'm thinking, wow, that's the power of a movie. And I feel like movies are like immortality, right? Yeah. You could get old, you're dead, but the movie will last forever. That's how I look at it, And so that's the passion that I'm in. And so when I think about the businesses and the careers and the people that we work with, I always think about, well, you're not going to live forever, and you're not going to ever take your successes and take your money to the grave with you. So what is it that you want to leave behind, you know? And so you want to leave behind, do you want to be known to be rich, or do you want to be known to have $1 million in the bank, or do you want to be known that you did good to people, that you were good to people, right? And that maybe, you know, if you have kids or family, that that they're working towards a better future for themselves because you were an anchor or an influencer for those type of people. And that's the business that I'm in. I'm in the business of my entrepreneurship, and my businesses was all about vertical strategies to get to the level of how can we create the most impact in people's lives. You could understand that because you're a doctor.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, we have similar background upbringing. I'm really interested because I've always been interested in creatives because the whole economy is going towards a creative economy. It's not gonna be like doctors and lawyers and all of that. That's great, but really the people that are making an impact are creatives or entrepreneurs or starting businesses. So that's
Yep.
going to be individuals such as yourself, Gen Z, millennials. So you talk about, you know, I know you're Web3 and you're a creator, but you tell us this current notion of how kind of centralized media controls artists and how it's going to change in the future.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you know, just to give some context, Sutudu is the name, and it actually stands for freedom in Vietnamese. Except that you change the U, the TU to DO. That's actually the real word of for freedom in Vietnamese. We wanted to make it look cool visually. So we believe that Web3 was the opportunity for people to be able to own their own content and have control of their own lives. And you're right, it is the creator's economy. And but I do know that Web3 is very new. It's like the 1998 of the internet. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Where people in the 2000s, people were scared of putting credit cards into the internet. Now we do it every single day without even thinking about it, right? Yeah, here's my credit card. Sure, here's a fraud, no problem, right? It's Web3 is like, what the heck is crypto? Why am I using my credit card to buy crypto? And what is this thing? You know, and if I get scammed, how to get my money back? And we're back in that. It reminds me of that the .com again, right?
yeah.
But I look at this. I look at Web3 as being so worth it for the creative industry and the other industries as well. But we'll talk about creatives. It's because when you think about in Web 2 or how everything's centralized, think about like Spotify, think about Netflix and Amazon Music or Amazon Studios and stuff, and the distributors, where there's a lot of they control everything. There's no more royalties for filmmakers anymore, meaning like you could make a movie and if you did, you know, unlike Spielberg and Martin Scorsese, and you know they make royalties and they're still making money off the movies that's being distributed today, that's still being played today. It's all 1099 now. You get paid for the job that you do. Here's a check, you know, and then move on. And every time it gets streamed, you're not getting paid.
Mm.
That's what it was. That's web. That's industry standards today. It's like they buy you out of a contract. So, and I don't know how I even got to that point, but I think it is because of streaming and because of internet. But when you think about, and then when you think about Spotify is owned by the labels. It's like the music labels own radio, literally that. But in the past, radio was owned by radio stations. It's independent. It's almost illegal for labels to be involved with the radio and owning a radio because it would be like a monopoly. They control it, the influencing. That wasn't really allowed. But now it's like, I don't know what's happening over here, but how does a label own Spotify when Spotify owns is it's like the biggest music player in the entire world. And so of course, so of course the artists are gonna get screwed out of it because the labels control it. So when you think about Web3 removes, I would say remove, that's a tough word. I would say it gives another option for an artist to be independent, and you're allowed to have I would say direct interactions with the fan base that wants to buy into your music, buy into your movies, buy into your content. Before, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole like that because it could get really intense around how that gets worked. But I give you an example of how we actually think about Web3. Sutudu has a technology. I'm not trying to. This is not a shameless plug either. This is what we actually do. Right. This is what we're trying to change. We have a proprietary software where we're allowed to split the sales upon a transaction, meaning that if you're doing a licensing deal, you're actually able to split the financial across what we call like a bunch of different partners, bunch of different wallets. Like it's like a checking accounts for people that don't understand crypto, right? A bunch of different checking accounts upon one single transaction. Unlike what it is today, where distributor sells it to Netflix, cuts the check to the distributor. The distributor takes 90 days to cut you a check, if they cut you a check, right? And then you have to cut the check to 10 different partners if you have those different partners. And then becomes this thing. And then along the way, the bookkeeping is a mess, you know?
Yeah.
We believe that NFTs, Web3, the way we are going about it solves that problem. And it is about not just trying to sell images, we're trying to solve licensing problems,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of like a way to really automate and instant transfer value to all of the parties involved.
100%, but not even just that. Like, let's just say you and I are partners in making a movie, but then you don't trust my partner and you don't trust the other person's partner, but they have equity in that movie for whatever reason because they invested money into it. But then let's just say that we're the one that didn't sell it. We brought in the sales agent to sell the movie. Well, they're the one that gets the check first, that cuts the check to us, right? Usually that happens a lot. So it's like, okay, where do we start? Where the issue is going to be at? We can see the issues right from the beginning of setting up the partnership. But what we do in the crypto world, or what we do with smart contracts, is that, well, just sell the license as an NFT. What's the license? It's a PDF with words on it, signed and is held by the law. That's all that is. NFTs could be the same thing, but it's automated. Sell the license as an NFT, and we all get remove the financial friction. So that's in my opinion part of a freedom play, right, for creators. And then they don't have to worry about someone getting robbed by someone that they thought they trusted.
Yeah. There's
getting a little bit too high level. So I kind of want to, like, you know, but that's the idea of Web3. And I think that I don't think people understand that yet. But usually when people do talk to me about it, they say, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
It reminds me almost of Venmo, because Venmo, when they first did it,
that's right.
You could just split it very instantly.
Well, they don't split like that. But what they do is it feels like I just sent you money and you have it right away. But in the background, merchant service is running, right? And if it's like, if you didn't have enough money or whatever happened, they just return the money back to you, right? That's how they work. But but it has that Venmo feel for sure. Cryptocurrency is like that, NFTs is like that. It's like, you know, and too bad there are a lot of bad actors. You know, there's a lot of people that doesn't understand the system and scams people, you know, because the market, because, you know, look, think about it. You got a lot of degenerates in this space. I would call them, you know, whether they're really rich by parents, but it's very money hungry, money driven. Yeah. And that's the first problem. It's not impact driven. It's not change, solve, problem driven. It's how do I make more money and how do I become rich driven? And that's the first issue. And that's the reason why we see all these bad actors in the space.
Yeah, it almost, because the technology is still early. Tech is inherently, you know, can be good. It's just when bad intention and bad humans get behind it, they mess everything up.
100%. I mean, I'm lucky that you guys, your industry doesn't have that as much as crypto. Then we'll all be doomed.
Well, healthcare is so highly regulated, so it's very hard for bad actors. But, you know, there are bad actors. So, but, you know, and then also physicians are more, I would say,
trained.
Yeah, and upstanding. So you'd have to go through a lot to get there. So yeah,
that's right. In Web3, I think Web3 is going to come to that point eventually. I think that if you want to get into, like, you know, it just needs a few big companies to emerge, and then these companies are actually changing the world with it. and then it flips the whole entire society of how we think about it, and then how do we get involved in it. And so once you have these big companies kind of create some standards, like how healthcare is, even though healthcare is a mess when it comes to financials and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Insurances and blah blah blah, those type of stuff. Web3 could emerge in with healthcare as well, and it could fix a lot of financial problems as well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
not just entertainment industry.
Yeah. NFTs, ticketing, data, a lot of,
Data, right? Data locking in, like, you don't have to have one hospital transfer data over to wherever you're going around the world to know, what your history, your health history is. You could put everything on the blockchain, everyone kind of just pulls it up and knows who you are. Problem is that, do you want that data public? You know,
yeah.
that's another conversation.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I think a lot of people, we're kind of coming to the end of our conversation. But you actually have a lot of you could probably talk deeper and deeper. But how can people contact you, visit your website, follow you, see what you're doing, and see what you're working on?
Well, you could contact me on LinkedIn. Just type in Khoale, Khoale on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Khoale Films. You could Google my name. I come up in the movies that we've done, from Walt Before Mickey, Jose Feliciano. We just got on Peacock. We got the Bezos movie that's being sold at the moment.
Uh,
And then obviously I want to get people to Sutudu.com, Sutudu.com. And we're going to be launching in about 2 weeks, right? The marketplace. And we want people to experiment. Like, don't go out and try to spend thousands of dollars on this stuff. Just try to be educated, get acclimated, ask a lot of questions, join our Discord. You're gonna see our Discord on the Sutudu page as well. And then I would say feel free to reach out, and if you want to understand more about the Web3 space. But it's definitely exciting if you're a creative artist, or even someone that's an entrepreneur, and then don't want to go through want to get into the business with so much opportunities in the space. It's the reset of the internet. It's like AOL.com. It's like, build around that. That's with 1 million, 2 million new ideas.
yeah.
It's all there, because I could guarantee you, if you think about it, it probably hasn't been done. But in the Web2 world, if you thought about it, like app, there must be an app for it, right? Web3 doesn't have that type of mindset of it. It's like, if you thought about it, it probably hasn't been done yet. It's time to go. You need to move forward with it. That's the opportunity.
Yeah. And for all the listeners out there, be sure to check out Khoa's resources. They'll be in the links and show notes. Be sure to check out. He's quite accomplished and doing a lot of great things. And look forward to meeting in person one day.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.